Good afternoon and welcome to today's game between Western Reserve Academy and your Archbishop Spalding Cavaliers. The MIAA encourages and promotes sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators. Offensive language including profanity, racial or ethnic slurs, or other intimidating actions directed at officials, event staff, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated. Please stand and gentlemen, remove your caps for the playing of our national anthem.
And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Good afternoon, Lacrosse fans, and welcome into Archbishop Spalding High School. It's another out-of-state matchup for the Cavaliers in non-conference play as the number 8 team in the country, the Archbishop Spalding Cavaliers, host the Western Reserve Pioneers, coming in 24th ranked in the nation. Connor Newcomb along with Sean Cottle here with you for this one. We thank you so much for tuning in. And Sean, it's just going to be another good test from a team this week where they've played Hill Academy, they've played Everest Academy, now Western Reserve Academy. A lot of good teams from not just the U.S. but Canada as well to really test this Spalding team in the non-conference.
You said it, Connor, and the keys to this game for Spalding, can they win faceoffs and can they handle the pressure ride of Western Reserve? We may see a 10-man today.
Western Reserve in the all-green, Spalding in the home whites with the red shorts as the Cavaliers control the first face-off of the day. It's Mikey Weissauer, who was the star on Tuesday. Spalding's 14-7 win over the Everest Academy from up in Ontario, Canada, as it was a 14-7 win. Weissauer had 5 goals in that one to lead the way for the Cavaliers to get to 3-1 on the season. They take on this Western Reserve team from out of Ohio as Weissauer dodges in, gets some space, and scores one early.
Well, Connor, it's a gloomy day here on New Cut Road, but the stars are out early. Mikey Weissauer finishes with the right hand from the slot. What a goal there to start.
Yeah, what a job. And, you know, he scored some big goals. He didn't exactly have all the highlight reel goals for Spalding on Tuesday, but that one right there you can put on the huddle tape for Weissauer is losing his balance, going down, shooting basically low to high because he had to, and he's able to beat one of the best young goalies in the nation in Tyler Corio right there, and a 1-0 Cavaliers lead. For Weissauer, it makes it 18 goals for the senior attacker and Towson commit on the season, who broke onto the scene last year with Spalding, leading them all the way to the MIAA A-Conference championship game before falling by a goal in that final. And he was really the breakout star of the conference last year. And talking with head coach Brian Phipps, he talked about now, all eyes are on Mikey Weissauer. And it's probably going to be more so when this team gets into conference play, because those will be opponents that have seen him a lot. This Western Reserve team coming in here for the first time. But he's got a lot more pressure on him and a lot more eyes on him defensively this year.
And he's going to get the pole in just about every time down. But Coach Ford and Coach Phipps do a great job using him in the pick game to generate switches like you see there. Now he has a short stick matchup on it. Let's see if they switch it. And I believe they're going to. Nope.
Yeah, Spalding early 2 for 2 on the faceoffs. It's something the Western Reserve has struggled with so far this year. They're actually playing back-to-back-to-back days this week. Played yesterday down in the D.C. area, lost 12-6 to Georgetown Prep in their first of 3 games here on their D.C. Baltimore area spring break trip. As there's Augie D'Ambrosi, gives it up, fired from Ryan Schreier. He misses high, and Ripley there to back it up. So for Western Reserve, they come down here, Georgetown Prep yesterday, Archbishop Spalding today, and then they'll go play Calvert Hall tomorrow to finish off the trip. So heck of a schedule right there. You basically got 3 other pretty consensus top 25 ranked teams in the country that you're going to take on. As D'Ambrosi has 15, he gives it up to Newell, the freshman. Now Gutierrez, under 10 to shoot. Ripley, jump shot. Oh, that one came out at the top of the stick right there. And they got 6 seconds. See if it's enough time for Spalding. D'Ambrosi with 2 seconds, and he's going to drop this one into the corner. Nice defending there from the Pioneers. So a tough schedule coming up for Western Reserve, and they started, their Ohio Midwest slate. They were 5-0 on the season, got themselves a top 25 ranking. Latest poll has them number 24 in the country from inside Lacrosse, but suffered their first loss of the season yesterday to fall to 5-1, and now trying to bounce back against probably an even more talented opponent in Archbishop Spalding today.
Yeah, Georgetown Prep, Spalding, and then Calvert Hall in back-to-back-to-back days. That's a gauntlet, Connor. Those are 3 really good teams. So we're kind of going to figure out what Western Reserve is made of in the next 3 days here.
Feed towards the crease, and it's off the stick of Ross. He did a nice job getting his stick in there and breaking that one up. 9:20 to go in the first quarter. It's 1-0 Spalding here in this one. And Ross, the Penn State commit, made the defensive play there and forces the turnover. And he takes it the other way. Then we get a whistle. And they're going to back him up. Put him right back where he was, but it'll stay Spalding ball. Jackson Roberts on the other end catches that pass for Spalding. A 1-0 lead on a Mikey Weissauer goal here in this one. 3 minutes into this first quarter.
And there's that pressure ride we talked about, Connor. And when I say pressure ride, I mean they'll have 2 or 3 attackmen down below the restraining line chasing the ball, forcing their poles to beat their attackmen with their legs, as you saw right there.
Augie D'Ambrosi behind the goal, got his first score of the season on Tuesday in the victory. Beat a pretty good Everest Academy team pretty handily as well. Weissauer, oh, what a feed inside, and Ripley puts it home.
Great job there manipulating the slide. Michael Weissauer drives right-handed, and they slide early to him, which is warranted because we saw what he can do when you don't slide, and then he was able to find Race Ripley in the middle. This is great spacing by Spalding there.
Heck of a job there to get it to Ripley, and tic-tac-toe passing there. Ripley with a catch and shoot. He had a couple of them Tuesday, gets one here today, and the senior Naval Academy commit makes it 2-0 Spalding here early in this one. So we've seen a lot of the repertoire of Weissauer so far. A nice-looking goal and a really good feed into the middle of the defense for an assist today. And it's another win at the dot for Spalding. And I was talking with Dylan Sheridan, the second-year head coach of this Western Reserve Academy program, yesterday after their 12-6 loss to Georgetown Prep. And what he harped on was they just struggled at the face-off dot. As there's a nice save there from Tyler Coria, their sophomore goalkeeper.
Yeah, they brought Jack Newell out of the box as a midfielder, usually an attackman, just so they can get a shorty on him to try to get a matchup. As you see here, they're going to invert behind.
We'll see how potentially WRA can try and switch some things up. But again, the dot was the issue yesterday, just lost the majority of the faceoffs against Georgetown Prep. Went down big early, cut the lead back to 1 at one point in the second half, but Prep pulled away for a 12-6 victory. Nice defensive play there, but Gutierrez picks it out of the air, finds Ripley, who dropped the pass, and now he's going to be racing after this one. Aiden Bedoni is after it as well. He's the one who broke up that pass, junior number 27 in green, and a commit to play for the Ohio State Buckeyes in 2 years. And now 15 on the shot clock as they go to Ripley. Weissauer goes left. Nice little underhand flip. 8 to shoot for Ripley. Inside, Schreier scores! Spalding firing on all cylinders early.
And the biggest difference I'm seeing now from 48 hours ago is crisp ball movement, with purpose. Spalding's moving the ball around, moving around the horn really well with purpose. Great cutting inside as you see Race finds Ryan right there on the doorstep, and Ryan's not going to miss many of those.
Ryan Schreier well into double figures now in goals this year. The senior headed to Towson next year, gets his first of the day, and Weissauer, Ripley, and Schreier. And when you draw it up at this point in the season, if you are Brian Phipps, those are your top 3 scorers, and taking less than 5 minutes for each of them to find the back of the cage, and that's well done, spreading it around so far by the Cavaliers as they're going to win another faceoff. Gavin Eiley picks up the ground ball. And so the struggles yesterday for the Pioneers continuing today, and they've only had one offensive possession. Blake Malamphy, the faceoff guy, is into the offensive zone now for Spalding. And he's going to have a crack at it here.
And Western Reserve is switching into his zone here.
As Weissauer sizzles one high, and now I think Malamphy's going to come off. Get Gutierrez back in there. Mentioned Western Reserve 5-1. Spalding at 3-1 on the season. Wins over Collegiate and Bullis. Had a tough 12-11 loss to the Hill Academy here on Sunday. Followed it up with the 14-7 win over Everest Academy on Tuesday to get that 3-1 record as we inch closer and closer to conference play for this Spalding team. Newell, the freshman, to Ripley. Schreier. Quick feeds here against that zone defense you mentioned. Slowed him down a little bit so far. 9 to shoot. Gutierrez, low to high, and a save, and a big one from Coria.
Great save there, kind of a momentum stopper. Let's see if Western Reserve can get the ball down into their other end and set up their offense.
Yes, you mentioned that zone, Sean, and honestly, it looked like Western Reserve was more comfortable defensively, and it took Spalding a lot longer to try and find a look.
Right, and the key to beating zone is skip passes, dragging their guy to the end of their zone, and then moving the ball and initiating from X. Zones are built from top to bottom. They're really good up top, and they're not so good down low. So we should see a lot more X initiation here in the coming hours here for Spalding.
Yeah, and sometimes you'll see, when a team switches a defense early, it'll take an offense a possession or two to kind of settle back into it. And so sometimes your best-looking possessions, that first one, when you switch into the zone, is just the second offensive possession today for Western Reserve. As they haven't won a face-off yet. Cavs have controlled it so far, but they get on the board. And it's a 3-1 game, much-needed score for the Pioneers.
Yep, looked to be just a simple right-handed alley dodge here. The slide comes just a hair too late, shoots through the slide, and beats Connor Stickside.
Jack Booth with the goal, the senior midi, headed to right around this area down in Virginia. He'll play at Washington and Lee at the Division III level next year for his college lacrosse. And Booth, one of these midfielders that Pioneers trying to get going this season. It's a really talented roster, but most would say most of their talent comes kind of from the back going forward. A really talented goalie, a really good group of defenders. And they got some solid D middies and two-way middies, and then there's talent all around the field, but they are built from kind of the back part of their team up in terms of goalkeeping and defense. But maybe trying for a pole goal here, and there they go. So you get those poles involved offensively, and Ty Banks makes it a 3-2 game.
A little bit of a defensive breakdown in the transition there. Ty Banks was able to beat his man and stick it. No slide came. You know, all week I've been hearing about Ty Banks. You got to watch 22 in green. He's a heck of a player, and you saw it there. You saw his offensive capability.
Ty Banks, a junior, already committed to play at Georgetown, as he is, as you said, maybe the most talented player on this roster. And you see the offense right there. I was talking to Coach Sheridan this week. He said, you know, because of just some numbers they had on the team and where they were deeper on the roster, Banks started on attack last year for about half the season.
Wow.
And, you know, he came in still as, you know, a defender, an LSM, a guy who's going to play out of the back, but he has so much skill that he started on attack last year. And this was for a good 14-4 lacrosse team in 2021. He was playing up top, so he's got stick skills. He can score the ball as well.
And that's almost unheard of, Connor.
As Spalding turns it over, and all of a sudden life into the Pioneers, feet ahead, and that shot got a piece of Ross, I believe, and popped up in the air.
That was a really tough break for Spalding. Western Reserve is late subbing, so they would have had a 6-on-5 situation if Gutierrez caught the ball, took his eye off it for a second, and it went the other way.
It was a hot start for Spalding, but here comes Western Reserve, and Brian Phipps wants to talk it over with 4 to play in the first. A 3-2 lead for Archbishop Spalding over the Western Reserve Academy. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle here with you on the call for this one. We thank you so much for joining us here on YouTube, Paul Surreal Media, for this one. And, you know, a hot start for the Cavs, 3-0 quickly, Sean, and then seems like the Pioneers just kind of woke up, got 2 goals, got the possession back, and they've got a chance to tie it here.
Hey, it's a game of runs, and we saw it right there. 3-0 lead can evaporate like that.
So 3-2 game now, back-to-back quick goals for Western Reserve. Jack Booth got one. Ty Banks, the LSM, got the other one. All of a sudden, Spalding turns it over. WRA picks it up, had a chance to score again. Shot went off of Alex Ross and bounded out of bounds. It stayed with Western Reserve, and then they turn it over.
Seemed to be a moving pick right there. Ball's going to go to Spalding here.
Jackson Roberts will advance it up the field. Nice catch by Weissauer. Again, not the tallest guy in the world, but has the athleticism to go up and get that one. And see if that timeout from head coach Brian Phipps helped to reset the Spalding offense. Still in that zone that worked the last couple of possessions for the Pioneers on defense. Schreier taking a look at the crease. Ripley from a tough angle passes it up. D'Ambrosi, and somebody got a piece of that shot, popped it up in the air. It looked like Lee Frazier on defense who made the play. And WRA able to clear, and Weissauer just broke his stick in half. He'll get the top part back. as Western Reserve looking to tie it. Don't see that too often. Weishauer heads off to get some new lumber. On the offensive end, it's Blake Island. Cade Eldred behind the goal, working on D'Ambrosi. Gives it up. Tough catch and a save. First stop today for Connor McMahon, senior goalkeeper for the Cavs. Sean, I wanted to ask about that broken stick. Kind of, how often does that happen on just kind of a trailing check right there?
You know, you see it a little bit, and you know, the shafts, when you throw a hard check to the shaft, sometimes they'll bend and break, and
oh, they went long, and the goal was not open there. Not sure what the plan was, but that was easy for Corey, the goalkeeper.
You have 20 seconds to get it over the midline, and they were kind of dwindling around that. So I believe it was Alex Ross in that corner there, just sent it at the cage. If you're Spalding, you got to be a little more organized and handle this pressure ride. You got to bring the middies back a little bit more to catch it and run.
Western Reserve looking to tie it up inside, and a pass went a little awry. Now it's scooped to the front of the crease. Pioneers still have it, and they score. That ball was bouncing around everywhere like a game of pinball, and Blake Island finally picked it up and scored. We're tied at 3 here with just over a minute to go in the first.
Timeout was called before the goal.
So we're back here at Archbishop Spalding. The call is no goal. What would have been a score for Blake Island that would have tied the game at 3. Looks like Western Reserve head coach Dylan Sheridan got a timeout before that goal was scored, so just kind of an unlucky break there, Sean, for the Pioneers.
Yeah, Connor, I've been in that position a couple times. You know, it looks like you have nothing and you're trying to get a quick timeout to help your team out, and then all of a sudden somebody emerges and takes a shot and scores, and the goal is disallowed. He was in the ear of the trail official there, so let's see if the players have his back here.
Yeah, so under a minute to go now in the quarter. It remains a 3-2 Spalding lead, about 40 on the shot clock here. About a 12-second difference between game and shot clock for Western Reserve. Around the crease, double team comes from Meehan. Shot is saved by McMahon. Rebound bounces out. And the ground ball is still loose. And now we got a whistle. And it's going to go against Spalding. They're going to reset the shot clock, which means it's going to turn off with 35 seconds to go in the first. And the Pioneers will have it back. Josh Schlackman down in the corner working against Luke Brookman. Gets some space now, gives it up. Jordan Ido up top. Ohio State commit number 8 in green going to work with 10 seconds against Ross. A Big Ten battle right here. Behind the cage. In front, a shot, and that had to have taken a deflection unless it just slipped out of his stick, because that one was closer to the softball field than it was to the Spalding goal. As that'll take us to the end of the first quarter. Cavs got out to a hot start, but Western Reserve kind of controlled it in those final 5 minutes or so. And it's a 3-2 Spalding lead after 12 minutes.
At the end of the first quarter, the score is Western Reserve Academy 2 and Archbishop Spalding 3. We would like to take this time to thank our sponsors of Spalding Lacrosse, Frost Law, Greenfield Capital Management, Lids, Sheehy Lexus of Annapolis, and Kelly Group Investments.
Start of the second quarter here, a 3-2 lead for Archbishop Spalding over Western Reserve Academy. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle with you here for this one. We thank you so much for joining us for a top 25 battle in high school lacrosse here. Spalding took a 3-0 lead. WRA answered back with 2. Spalding a 1-goal lead as Blake Malamphy wins the faceoff, try to take it himself. He did score one of those goals off the faceoff on Tuesday, his first of the season. That was during Spalding's 14-7 win over the Everest Academy here 2 days ago. And now Spalding can control it coming into the second quarter. And Sean, you know, it was a game of runs like you talked about in that first. And see if the Cavs can kind of bring it back their way, because it was all Western Reserve kind of the second part of that first quarter.
And you alluded to it a little earlier, Connor. This zone has slowed Spalding down a little bit. They haven't been getting the same great looks that they were getting earlier when Western Reserve was in man-to-man.
Yeah, it was 3 goals in 3 possessions to start the game. Pioneers went to the zone. Nothing since for Spalding. Now a 3-2 game. See if they can figure things out here. Just kind of been going around the world on top of the zone so far. And it's been kind of a late shot clock shot or a turnover. See if they can try to feed it into the middle of the zone. Maybe on the doorstep, and Augie D'Ambrosi able to beat the zone. As you said, Sean, it's much softer down by the crease, and they got in there to score.
Great job by Augie. You see that he got a better angle. He caught it about a goal line. It was able to dive towards the top of the crease here. This is great body control by Augie to increase his angle and finish it away.
D'Ambrosi with his 2nd goal of the season, scored his first on Tuesday, gets another one today for the senior headed to Flagler to play his college lacrosse next year. And Spalding now doubling up the Pioneers, snapping that little 2-0 run from the boys in green.
And Augie will be so important to Spalding if they're going to make a championship run. You know, you got to have a diverse scoring attack. And, you know, you can't just rely on Race, Mikey, Nick Gutierrez, and Ryan all the time. There's got to be other guys that score, and Augie's very capable of it, and you saw it there.
Yeah, stepping into an even bigger role this year. Flag down against Spalding here, it looks like. So we'll see if Western Reserve can capitalize. Guys out of Ohio come in 5-1 to their Maryland trip this week. Lost 12-6 to Georgetown Prep yesterday. They've got the Cavs today and Calvert Hall tomorrow. Heck of a slate right there for the Pioneers under second-year head coach Dylan Sheridan, who has just turned this program right around. He came in for the 2021 season after this team had gone 4-13 in 2018, 3-17 in 2019. No 2020 season due to the pandemic. 2021, Sheridan's first year, they go 14-4. Now they're nationally ranked, and they're 5-1 to start the season. Just a heck of a turnaround as that bounce shot goes wide. Took a deflection, stays in play, and that shot goes over top the goal. As they'll reset the shot clock, Western Reserve able to run it down. Mackie Peck picks it up. And now we will get the whistle and the penalty against Spalding.
And down defense for Spalding.
But I mean, Sean, just a heck of a job. You know, you come to a program that went 3-17, and you turn it into 14-4 the next season.
It's an amazing turnaround. You know, that speaks to the coaching and the culture that they've established there at Western Reserve. And, you know, this is my first time seeing them play in person, and I'm intrigued by what I'm seeing.
Yeah, Coach Sheridan was at the college level, a bunch of different stops before coming to Western Reserve. He was defensive coordinator at Denver, at Princeton. Was actually a head coach at the D1 level. Coached Cleveland State as they were kind of a new Division I program. Was the head coach from 2015 to 2019 there at Cleveland State, and kind of stuck around in the Ohio area. Took the associate head coach job at Ohio State for one season, and then took this job with Western Reserve as the head coach.
And that's so great for the kids. If they can get collegiate wisdom while they're in high school to prep them for college, that's such a luxury to have.
And he talked about how basically he's come in and run this thing like a college program. That's all he's known in his coaching career. As Spalding forces the turnover with still 20 seconds left on the man advantage, with Jamison Kaufman in the sin bin for Spalding. And they'll kill it off here, get to even strength, and then go into the offensive work up 4-2. I talked to Coach Sheridan this week. I asked him, point blank, what did you change? And he just said, focusing like it's a college program, because he did say, you do have to recruit players. This is an academy, private type school. And so some of that, it's not college style recruiting, but you're convincing kids to come to your school. And he's just played that, college style a little bit more and run the program more that way and shown results. That shot's going to go wide. It'll stay with Spalding. Just the amount of talent they now have on this roster. A lot of Division I recruits. Basically everybody in the starting lineup is set to play at some level in college. Penalty time is over. Back to even strength. A nice find to Schreier inside. He just sent it a bit wide over top the crossbar.
It was a good job by Ryan Schreier right there, cutting the green grass. Find the soft spot in the middle of the zone.
Well, they go to Gutierrez. He goes for the behind the back shot, I should say, right at the buzzer. And he bounced it wide. We saw Spalding score a behind the back goal on Tuesday. They were looking for one more right there. Just a little too tall for Ryan Schreier. Thought he had a shot picking that one off, but Western Reserve back on the offensive end. Looking for that first score of this second quarter. Goals from Booth and Banks, the two scorers so far for the Pioneers. Spalding extending that defense here. Give it up top. Jordan Ito, another Ohio State guy. Obviously, the Buckeyes now have a huge connection to this program with their associate head coach leaving to take the head coaching job. Ito working right, fires, and it took a deflection. Went wide. It'll stay on this end.
And Spalding had to do a full rotation over. Ben Ruiz came over there, took a little bit of a bad approach, and he was able to get to the middle of the field, get a shot off, but good job getting a stick on it.
Shot clock resets for Western Reserve here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, Connor, because I didn't see it hit anything.
Unless it, all right, they got it back to 32 now.
Okay,
so
all right.
I think
That
that's
makes
what
sense.
the stoppage was. Now 22. And that seems right. Seems like they've had it for at least 60-ish seconds.
And now you see Spalding switching into a zone for the first time that I've seen.
Maybe just to throw a wrinkle in with not much time left on the shot clock. And it worked. They force a turnover there. Nice job by the Archbishop Spalding defense.
As coaches, a lot of the times, as we see a 10-man ride here, the goalie is out of the cage.
And Ross, he's going to advance it himself. Comes a flag. Oh, and Schreier took a big hit. And that'll be the whistle. And we'll see what the call was there.
I believe it's offsides. In their 10-man ride, you still have to have the same amount of players back and forward as you would do in a traditional ride. And I believe they had too many players on the Spalding side of the field there, alluding to an offsides.
Yeah, so there'll be a 30-second penalty. Lee Frazier will take that penalty. Senior defender, committed to Lafayette to play at the D1 level for the Leopards next year.
And Connor, going back to that zone that Spalding went into, as coaches, a lot of times out of a timeout, we'll switch to a zone because that kind of throws a wrinkle. Right there was such a dead ball as they reset the shot clock that they switched into a quick zone, which I thought was a really prudent move by Coach Ripley and Coach Hockle over there.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just something on the fly. They saw the stoppage, they saw the shot clock, and said, let's go for it. Still 4-2 game here. Second quarter of this one. On the EMO, Spalding, and Weissauer fires high. We saw Archbishop Spalding just dominate on the extra man. Went 4 for 6 on the EMO in the first half of that win over Everest Academy on Tuesday. That was the difference in the game. Now they're back to full strength. That pass didn't get through cleanly as they were trying to pick out Weissauer, and somebody got a chunk of it on the defensive end. It looked like Brennan Williams on defense, 33 in green, got his stick in there just enough for the Pioneers. Here they come the other way. Had a man open on the crease, was trying to set a screen there, a visual screen to kind of block McMahon. Now it's Blake Island up top, one of the 3 Buckeye commits on this team.
And Connor, it seems this program could be a feeding ground for Ohio State for a lot of years to come.
Yeah, it makes sense. They're, many would argue the top program in Ohio. Their coach was the associate head coach at Ohio State just 2 years ago. As Island scores. That was a tough angle, and I think McMahon might have gotten blinded for just a second there, and Blake Island took advantage.
It was a right-handed dodge underneath, and you said it. I think Connor comes off the pipe slightly here. He does, and he was able to squeak it in.
Yeah, and maybe Meehan running in front of him here as you look at the replay. I wonder if just for a split second he lost sight of the ball. And as you said, just came off the post. Just enough space for the senior Blake Island to score, who Coach Sheridan called his most versatile player on the field. He cuts it to a 1-goal game. Now they're trying to tie it, and a great one-on-one save from McMahon.
Great save by Connor McMahon.
Heck of a job to rebound from that last shot and make the save. Malamphy the other way, feet in front. What a swing that is, Sean, as the goal goes for Jack Newell.
You mentioned it. What Connor McMahon can bring to the table is momentum-changing saves, and you saw it right there. Not only did he make the save, he delivered a perfect outlet pass to Blake Malamphy, and Blake Malamphy sees the early rotation and then hits Jack Newell on the lower side. That was just all around perfect from Spalding there.
Jack Newell, the star freshman, starting on attack for Spalding with his 8th goal of the season. And he makes it 5-3 here. And that was a heck of a swing. Western Reserve got the goal, won the faceoff, went right in. And that save by McMahon, you can't say a lot more about that. The senior UMBC commit with a huge stop on that other end. And here you see the goal again. A great feed to Newell right on the crease. And the lead back to 2 for the Cavaliers. Now we got a plethora of whistles here as our refs are going to come together.
Yeah, there seems to be some confusion. It looked like a hold on Western Reserve. So they're getting it, I think they're getting it straight here. I believe it should be Spalding ball.
Yeah, you see the save there again from McMahon on the replay. I mean, that's a really good scoring spot right there for Ryan Favreau, the senior Colgate commit who hasn't had many better chances to score this year than that, and he was denied by McMahon.
And I want to draw attention to the outlet pass too, right? So Blake Malamphy was leaking out, and Connor delivered a perfect ball that had transition going the other way. So not only the save, but the beautiful outlet pass as well.
So we'll go to Spalding, and whatever the call was, they got it sorted out. Although no EMO, looks like no flag was called. So 6-on-6 here. 4 minutes to go in the first half. 5-3 Cavaliers lead. As that one, got a piece of a defender there. Lee Frazier took it off the shin. He's shaking out that left leg right now, but he'll swallow the pain and be happy that he prevented a potential goal there.
And great hustle there by Logan Meehan. He might have been closest to the ball to award it to Spalding. You know, if he wasn't, that attackman could run the ball out as well, and it is closest to the end line or sideline when it goes out off a shot.
Yeah, even though it didn't make it to goal because it was a shot, even though it deflected off a defender, still puts that into play there. Trying to figure out this defense with the skip pass. What a catch on the short hop from Ripley.
That was the right idea by Gutierrez. It just needed to be a little bit better skip. Easier said than done, though, skipping it through 3 sticks.
Weissauer fakes to Ripley, then goes to Ripley. He replaces him inside the zone. Oh, and he found Weissauer right on the crease, and did he step inside? Yeah, I think he did. Didn't get the shot to go anyway, as the Pioneers defense converged quickly. Now they'll look to clear. Here comes that man again. Ty Banks had a goal earlier. So this time he decides to give it to one of his attackers, Jack Booth, who had the first goal today for Western Reserve.
And we see Spalding's elected to double pole the midfield, meaning a short stick D-midi is going to cover an attackman while they have 2 poles on the 2 of the 3 midfielders.
2.5 now in the half. It's Booth. One-on-one with Gavin Eiley. Second defender, Meehan comes. Still 30 seconds to shoot. That shot fired wide as Josh Schlackman took a hit as well. The sophomore 16 in green went down hard, but Pioneers keep the possession. Now Cade Eldred, Denver commit. He will not stop being a Pioneer for another 4 years, but he throws it away, and it's back over to the Cavs.
Pretty good settled defensive possession there by Spalding. I like the double polling of the midfield. It seems that they initiate from the midfield a lot. And again, we see this 10-man ride. Spalding's able to get out of it. The goalie will come back in the cage.
Yeah, at what point in the game does it become you think about from close to midfield, maybe firing one on the cage?
It's all situational. It's all situational, Connor. You know, if you're in trouble or if the shot clock is dwindling below 60 and you still haven't touched it in, then you fire a shot, and you got to make sure you have backup back there. You know, to beat a 10-man ride, you need to have 2 attackmen deep and 1 attackman up by the restraining line.
Looks like we're going to get a timeout here. Spalding wants to talk it over. Just over a minute to go in the first half. .123 on the game clock in the first half, 43 on the shot clock here for Archbishop Spalding coming out of the timeout, leading Western Reserve 5-3. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle with you here for this one. We thank you so much for joining us. Kind of a gloomy Thursday afternoon into the evening here outside of Baltimore, but you know, the rain at least is seeming to hold off for now. It's definitely coming at some point tonight.
And out of the timeout, Western Reserve elects to go man-to-man, kind of that switch-up that we talked about earlier, just reversed.
Yes, they were in man early, Spalding scored 3 goals in 3 possessions. They went to zone and took Spalding a while to kind of figure out the zone. Then they got 2 more goals. Now back to the man-to-man on what could be the Cavs' final possession of the half. Schreier inside, nice catch. Weishauer spins, fires, and it goes wide. I've said it before on these very broadcasts, is even when he doesn't score, he dazzles on the field, but they're going to give it to the Pioneers, and the shot clock going to be off, 40 seconds in the half. So Western Reserve can get one here. They're feeling like they're in a pretty good place in this game, especially how the first couple minutes went back in the first quarter. And it looks like they're going to talk it over as well. Dylan Sheridan wants to talk about his final possession of the half.
Western Reserve Academy timeout.
Final possession of the half here for Western Reserve. They trail at 5-3. Shot clock is off with just under 30 seconds to play in this second quarter. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle here with you. And Sean, we'll see what the Pioneers drew up in that timeout for what you would think they would try to make the final shot, potentially final goal of this first half.
This is a really important possession right now because, if Western Reserve is able to get a goal, now they have momentum into halftime. But if Spalding can get a big stop, then they can have the momentum. So everything comes down to this possession.
Schlackman gave it up. 9 seconds. Feed over, and a save by McMahon. Got it with the stick. He'll get it back from his defense, whip it down the field, and we'll hit halftime. Good-looking half from both sides. We got a tight one here. 5-3 Spalding. And don't go anywhere as McMahon makes a great save to take us into the half, but we'll be back shortly for the second half between the Cavaliers and the Pioneers.
Second half will resume in 10 minutes.
The Spalding community is definitely one that I would describe as united.
There's a genuine desire to serve, to exemplify Christ.
And we see that every day in this building, from something as small as a senior helping a freshman with their locker, a teacher comforting a student. We see it in the smallest and the largest acts of kindness.
I knew it would actually be my calling to strengthen the faith life of the students that were around me in the way that I had my faith life strengthened as a student here before.
There's a million different people, a million different backgrounds. People come from all over the world, but the fact that we can all come together on faith, that's literally the embodiment of one body in Christ.
Hallmarks of a Spalding athlete. Are they able to compete at the highest level possible? Spalding is positioned very uniquely because they are in one of the best leagues in the state. When they're competing at a high level, that's big time.
It was always known as a great academic school, but we wanted to build a full-rounded school for student athletes. And we knew that they could get to where they're at today.
Since I've graduated from high school, I've watched the campus grow astronomically. Spalding laid a foundation for my understanding of teamwork, friendship, and things that were so much bigger than what happened on the basketball court.
They're challenging themselves academically and spiritually, and then transitions directly onto the field where that consistency molds and shapes everybody that's involved.
The future of Spalding athletically is strong and vibrant, and I'm excited for our Cavs.
The growth of this school is unbelievable to me. The opportunities that are afforded to these students, it's impressive.
The nature of our size impacts the growth because of the options that our size enables us to offer our students. We're very deliberate about knowing emerging trends. We have so many different academic programs. We have so many different co-curricular programs.
If there is anything that is of interest to you, all you need to do is ask.
And it's great to see how the school and the athletic facilities have improved over the years.
When I have friends who are alumni reach out to me and I tell them that there's now an engineering building, it tells you the health of the school, which is embodied by the people who make it up. That's why it's been so successful. That's why there's so many opportunities at this school.
I think I immediately knew when I came for that open house 7th grade that like everything I had heard was true.
I didn't know what to expect because I'd never been to a Catholic school. I didn't know much about it.
It invited me into a lifetime of experiences that have been unforgettable.
The kids are passionate. You walk in, there's a little bit of electricity in the building. That's hard to describe. It's something that you feel.
I care about school now. I care about all of the people I'm surrounded with every day. I know they care about me. And it's this sense of community that's enabled me to be able to push myself.
And grow through service. I feel like it made me a well-rounded human being.
I know that Spalding has everything here for all of my children, academically, emotionally, physically.
Whether it's clubs, whether it's sports, they're going to be leaders in and out of the classroom.
What I hope and pray is that at the end of your time at Spalding, you're going to remember how you felt, respected, included, and that you always felt one in Christ.
The opportunities afforded to these students just really speak to the success of this school. It's impressive.
It's more than just learning at school. Like, it's taught me how to treat people, how to grow in my faith, rather than just giving me an education and sending me off to college.
When you choose the Spalding experience, what you're getting is an environment that cares for the individual. This is a place where we welcome people home.
You're going to grow so much.
I know it may be nerve-wracking. This school is bigger than what you're probably used to.
This school, this community is truly like no other.
You will find innovation, a deepened faith life, family.
You're about to have a very crazy ride, but some of the best years of your life.
I still remember my first day.
We get to school, and my mom was like, "Don't be nervous," and I'm like, "I'm not nervous," but I was freaking out.
I really had no clue what I was walking into.
Everything was unknown and uncertain.
What if I don't find my friend group? What clubs am I gonna join? Did I bring my lunchbox?
Each step that I took closer, I could feel my heart race, this mixture of anticipation and excitement, the fear of the unknown.
From the moment stepping on campus, I immediately knew everything I had heard was true. I found what I was looking for.
A lifetime of experiences that have been unforgettable.
High school is where you figure out who you are. Spalding cares about that.
Academics, activities, there's something here for everybody.
Whatever it is that you are looking for, we'll provide it for you.
The most challenging, relevant, cutting-edge programs, the International Baccalaureate Project leads the way.
You look at the students, they're leaders. They're challenging themselves academically and spiritually. And it starts in the classroom and then transitions directly onto the field.
one that genuinely cares about each other.
We celebrate together. We all feel the school spirit.
We all come together on faith.
We are truly the embodiment of one in Christ.
The two questions that we answer with every decision that's made here: do we support the mission? Are we caring for our students? Yes, of course, calculus is important. Maybe you run a championship-winning team. But what I hope and pray is that our students remember how we made them feel, and that we made them feel respected, important, and that they very much felt a part and welcomed at Archbishop Spalding.
Take a deep breath.
You're going to grow so much.
You're going to be prepared for success in college and in life.
You will find a deepened faith.
Become a leader.
You're going to be pushed more than you ever have been before.
It's going to be difficult.
And this community will help you become the best version of yourself.
You're about to have some of the best days of your lives here.
And when you look back, you will realize you were always part of something bigger.
Welcome back into Archbishop Spalding High School. It's a 5-3 lead for Spalding over the Western Reserve Academy. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle with you for this one. We thank you so much for joining us. In that first half, it was a hot start for Spalding. Scored on their first 3 possessions to go up 3-0, but Western Reserve came climbing back, and they've stayed in this game at 5-3, and the Pioneers win the first face-off of the second half. Western Reserve in green, the 24th ranked team in the country. Spalding in the white jerseys with the red shorts, ranked 8th in the Inside Lacrosse High School Top 25 poll. And the Pioneers start with possession in half number 2. It's pretty balanced scoring for both sides in that first half. Nobody scored more than once. 8 different goal scorers in the game as we stand at 5-3 here. And on this first possession, see if Spalding can continue the strong defense, Sean, that they really played throughout that first half.
Right, only 2 settled 6-on-6 goals that they gave up. The other one was in transition. So they are defending Western Reserve very well. Spalding's just got to get the offense clicking a little bit more.
And if you remember back, Western Reserve could argue that they maybe should have 4 goals. That one got a chunk of Brookman, didn't make its way onto goal, and it's going to be scooped up by Jackson Bedonyi.
No possession, and it did not hit anything, so the shot clock is now at 15.
They had a goal that was taken away because they called a timeout just before they scored it. It was a goal that would have tied the game at 3 back in the first half. Now 5 to shoot. Got to fire one. Here it comes, and they score. Top shelf for Blake Island. It's back to a 1-goal game.
And that was a low to high underhand rip. It seemed like Spalding got caught up in the traffic a little bit in the middle in their rotation over. It seemed to be late, and you see we had 2 guys flying to the ball at the same time. Both of them late, and it was a great shot, ping to corner, low to high.
So I mentioned the 8 different goal scorers. Blake Island, the first guy with a multi-goal game. Second for the senior Ohio State commit, Island, who is one of the most versatile players on the field, and he's got a whole lot of talents. Also the starting quarterback for the Western Reserve football team in the fall as well. As he fires one home, and Spalding trying to answer with Malamphy off the faceoff win, but he shoots that one high. It'll stay on this end, however. So a 5-4 game now. It's back within one. It was 3-2. It was 4-3. Now it's 5-4. Pioneers trying to see if they can take that next step and tie it for the first time. So it was really barely 0-0. Spalding scored 30 seconds in on their first possession to take a 1-0 lead, and they've led the entire way. Oh, nice find to Schreier, and he puts them back up 2. Second today for Ryan Schreier.
What an excellent set play there. Western Reserve opens up in man-to-man. Gutierrez goes down the right alley, and there was a backside seal. So when you're staring at the ball, when it's this far away, you can sometimes get caught in traffic like that. And it was a beautiful find and a beautiful finish.
Nicely done by Augie D'Ambrosi. Not any physicality on that screen at all, just kind of being where the defense didn't want him. And Schreier gets open and scores. But another face-off win for the Pioneers. So quick start for each side. Now 6-4 Spalding. Each team with one loss on the year. Cavs at 3-1, Western Reserve at 5-1. Trying to get a W on this D.C. Maryland trip. They lost to Georgetown Prep 12-6 yesterday for their first loss of the season. Spalding today, they're at Calvert Hall tomorrow. And was talking with their head coach, Dylan Sheridan, who's in his second season. Talked with him yesterday, and he said, you know, it was funny. They wanted to do a Maryland spring break trip, which is what they're doing, and play some of the top competition here in the area. But, you know, the games came together all separately. It just kind of so happened that they came in 3 consecutive days, which will obviously be a test, especially when they get to tomorrow, third game in 3 days against the Cardinals. As this is a big ground ball right here, but Spalding will get it initially. Now it's still loose, and the Cavs come away with it finally.
Good ground ball there by Brendan Watson, and he was able to find Mikey Weissauer on the other side of the field.
Weissauer went down a little bit. He's okay. But Coach Sheridan talked about how, you know, he was happy that it ended up being the 3 games in 3 days they'll play this week, because when they get into their postseason, as that one hits off the pipe, that was a laser from Race Ripley, but couldn't get it home. But Sheridan said when they get in their postseason, you know, into April and May, to win their tournament that they play in at the end of the year, you have to win 3 games in 3 days. So basically this is something against even better competition here than they're going to see then to get themselves ready for that postseason play.
And that's just smart scheduling. You know, you want to play really tough out-of-conference games so you can get prepared. Here we go. We might have numbers here with Alex Ross.
Ross, Ripley, and he had the numbers, but he took it behind the goal instead. As Ty Banks came in defensively, and now a great save. Tyler Correa goes down. Looked a little awkward, but he made the stop.
And talking to Brian Phipps this week, said Tyler Correa might be the best goalie in the class of 2024, so they think very highly of him.
Yeah, still obviously uncommitted as a sophomore here, as you mentioned, but I talked to Coach Sheridan this week, and he said, look, he's going to be a Division I goalie at that level. He obviously said, you know, he's going to get a whole lot of looks in summer, you know, with his club team in a couple of months, and you know, there should be a decision made by him potentially in the fall, you would think. And Sheridan said that just kind of because he's going to get so many looks from so many different schools. As there's going to be a ground ball from McMahon, a already committed D1 goalkeeper. Will play for the Retrievers at UMBC next year. And Spalding able to bring it across nicely. Good clear there as they get it to Ruiz, and he gets out of traffic.
You said it. Great stick work in that clear there. There was a couple opportunities where Western Reserve could have intercepted passes, but they were perfect passes, and they were able to get out.
So 6-4 Spalding here, continuing to maintain that lead.
And we see Western Reserve kind of abandoning that zone defense that had success in the first half. Spalding's 4 out of their 6 goals have been against their man-to-man defense.
There's Weissauer. Schreier took a hit up high. Stuck with it to Gutierrez. Still 25 to shoot. Weissauer. Kept his feet. He's got 10, so it's time to go for Spalding. 7 seconds. Tough catch. Weissauer fires. Oh, my goodness. A laser beam from Mikey Weissauer.
We talk about how Mikey Weissire is just such a complete player. There he recognized the shot clock is under 5 seconds. I got to go cut and get a goal, and he did it. He cut right to green grass. It's a beautiful cut. Caught the defender napping. Tough catch, but a great finish. Stick side high.
Yeah,
Hated the corner.
That was not a pass that was right in the shooting pocket. He had to extend back to get that one and just, well, I'm already halfway wound up after catching this pass.
Yep.
Let me just let it rip. And he beats Coria high into the right. Weissauer with his second goal today. Had the first goal for Spalding, and that's number 19 on the season for the senior attacker. And Spalding has matched its largest lead. Remember, they were up 3-0 in the first 3 minutes of the game. Now a 7-4 advantage as Jamison Kaufman picks up the ground ball off the faceoff. And Spalding's got it again. And that was the Pioneers' issue yesterday in the 12-6 loss to Georgetown Prep. Just got dominated at the faceoff dot. Coach Sheridan said it was really the main reason why they fell in that one.
And now Western Reserve is back into their zone, which I think is a smart choice.
Now can Spalding extend that lead? Here's Ripley. Weissauer using the referee as a screener there. Inside, nice find, wide open. And Jack Newell's got 2 today.
It's so important for Spalding to have Jack Newell step up. You know, he's best when he's in attack mode. You know, just a freshman out here playing against guys that are mostly 2 to 5 years older than him. So it's a little intimidating when you start, but look at this skip pass. He comes up to the ball instead of waiting for it to come into his cross at goal line to increase his angle on shooting. It's a great skip pass by Gutierrez and an even better finish.
Second for the freshman Jack Newell today, 9th on the season. Spalding has its largest lead at a 4-goal advantage here. Opened up on a 3-1 run to start the second half, and they've got another face-off. Nicely done by Blake Malampi here in the second half. And he's going to stay in offensively, at least for now. And he just kind of got a catch and pass opportunity there, and right back off he comes. So you'll see D'Ambrosi and Gutierrez back on the attacking end. Weissauer for Ripley. Ripley again. Still 35 to shoot. Newell looking for a hat trick potentially. Skip pass and a good one. And a save made. Coria got a piece. He'll stay with Spalding with a new shot clock. The only goalkeeper on the roster for Western Reserve. You know, he's uber talented and not going to be a lot of guys who would beat him out for that spot. But obviously you play a little bit of a risky game when you have just the one goalie, especially when you're on the road on a trip to Maryland on spring break.
It would make me nervous.
But he's got all the talent in the world. As Western Reserve's got it back. Island gives it up. And that one goes wide. It'll go to Spalding. Nicely done backing up there. Alex Ross got back to it.
Nice back up by Alex Ross.
And here's his 10-man ride. They do a good job bringing their shorties down and just running it over. Now they're going to have ball pressure. Might have something here. Late flag. Goalie out of the cage.
Big hit on Augie D'Ambrosi. Took a shot from Ty Banks there after the pass, and the flag did fly.
Now, if you're Spalding, you can afford to be patient here. You got 60 seconds left on the shot clock with the flag down. You're going to get the ball right back. Get your offensive personnel on and take a great shot.
Ripley, Weissauer winds up, and he's got a hat trick.
Who else but number 8 in white, Mikey Weissauer. Some regard as the best player in the country, finding that low-to-low stroke on that wing, and this is too much space, much too much space for a player of his caliber, and he's able to stick it low-to-low.
And Coach Sheridan wants to talk about that defense. Timeout Pioneers as Spalding on the Mikey Weissauer Hattie has opened up its largest lead of the day.
Goal scored by Mikey Weissauer, number 8. Spalding will be man up for 1 minute.
Spalding has opened up its largest lead of the day, 9-4 with 3:05 left in the third. They'll also be on the EMO for a minute here. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle as Western Reserve here for their Maryland trip. 3 games in 3 days on spring break. And there's a connection here on the coaching staff, Sean, that probably helped get this game together between the Pioneers and the Cavaliers.
Yeah, you got head coach of the Spalding Cavaliers, Brian Phipps, who was a Terp and a member of the PLL Whipsnakes. And as an assistant coach for Western Reserve is Kyle Bernlohr, another goalie on the Whipsnakes and also a Terp. So that's probably the reason that this game got scheduled, and I'm sure there's bragging rights on the line here.
Yeah, we've got a hit up high here, so a flag flies. So going to wipe out that penalty against Western Reserve, and team should go to even strength, or potentially they might be able to just run off the entire penalty and get the EMO. But, you know, it's all these different relationships in the lacrosse world, Sean, that set up these games between these premier high school programs. You know, obviously we saw Everest Academy on Tuesday. They had a Terp on their staff as well. And, you know, that's how these things come together. And, you know, obviously a lot of, you know, I would say maybe Coach Phipps's generation of lacrosse players, you know, came from this area, Maryland, Virginia, Pennsylvania, and just kind of helped to grow the game out west, grow the game south, grow it up to Canada even further, grow it obviously to Ohio, where this Western Reserve team resides, as that shot goes wide. And all those relationships come back, and you being able to build these games, which are just huge for not only, you know, just getting a good win on your resume potentially, but getting you ready for conference play. You know, you're not going to get a lot of better non-conference matchups than these two facing off against each other.
You're absolutely right, Connor. You know, the lacrosse community is really tight-knit. You know, everybody kind of knows each other, but if you're collegiate teammates with somebody and you play in the pros, you know, a lot of these guys also coach. You know, they play in the pros and they also coach at the high school or the club level. So those connections can go far beyond, you know, just collegiate teammates.
Yeah, and that PLL season kind of opens it up for that possibility because they play throughout the summer. So you get that spring season coaching, and then you go play your pro lacrosse. Which, big news in the PLL this week. ESPN deal. They're going to be on your television more often as Western Reserve gets one back. And a much-needed goal from Jared Masnick, the sophomore, scores on the man up and makes it a 9-5 game.
And that's a big goal for Western Reserve to kind of stop the bleeding here and see if they can make this a ball game. You know, as a rule, you want to convert a majority of your man-up situations, and you saw it right there with that right-handed snipe.
Big goal for Masnick, his first of the day. Stops a 4-0 Cavaliers scoring run. And now a face-off infraction, as it wasn't Malamphy out there. They went with the freshman on the face-off and commits the infraction. It's back over to Western Reserve. So can the Pioneers creep back into this one? Had it at 5-4, and Spalding pulled away here in this third quarter. Now a minute to go in the third, and shot clock, game clock almost even. There's about a 4 or 5 second difference right now. Island with 2 goals. Now it's Eldred. He gives it up for Blake Island. Spin move now with 30 seconds, 25 to shoot. Eldred checks the shot clock. Now goes left. Goal line extended. Takes it behind the cage, whips it around front, and McMahon makes a great stop.
Very athletic save there by Connor. Drops to his knees and finishes it. Now Spalding's got transition the other way.
Heck of a spin move by Logan Meehan. Tried to find Weissauer, and he just couldn't catch the pass. And that should take us to the end of the third, as Western Reserve is going to possess it. And you see right here, what a save by McMahon on the replay, diving down to his right. Spalding's going to get it with 3.5, or no, it's going to be the Pioneers who have it. So they're going to try and chuck one down the field, but that'll take us to the end of the third quarter, a quarter dominated by the Cavaliers, and Spalding with a 9-5 lead as we head to the fourth.
Western Reserve Academy 5 and Archbishop Spalding 9. We would like to take this time to thank our sponsors of Spalding Lacrosse, Frost Law, Greenfield Capital Management, Lids, Sheehy Lexus of Annapolis, and Kelly Group Investments.
(9-5) Spalding leads Western Reserve as we start the fourth quarter. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle here with you for this one. We thank you so much for joining us. 12 minutes of lacrosse left in this one. Spalding really dominated that third quarter, outscoring Pioneers 4-2, but really felt like they opened the game up much more. They had their largest lead of the day at 5, and Sean, it felt like that was their best 12 minutes of lacrosse today.
Yeah, they got back to how they started the game, right? Crisp ball movement, hard dodges to draw slides, and really playing disciplined defense. And good things happen when you can do those things.
So we got a push on a loose ball against Spalding off the face-off on that ground ball. So Pioneers will possess it to start the fourth. They need to start getting the offense moving. Just the 5 goals in 36 minutes so far. See if they can change that here in the fourth. They need to go on a nice little run to stay in this one, and a wraparound shot, and Ross there to back it up again.
Alex Ross, as soon as he saw the shot, he broke to the end line and anticipated, and here's that 10-man ride we alluded to earlier.
If you want to take a chance.
Net's open.
It's open, and now it's really open. And Ruiz just wasn't looking, maybe thought he didn't have the angle. And I guess some of it is, obviously this isn't the top reason you go with the 10-man, but, a little bit of it is if you can bait a team into taking that shot and missing that shot and you can back it up, it's a free turnover basically at times as well.
They're trying to, like a full court press in basketball, they're trying to speed you up and make you make mistakes. And if you're Spalding, you have a 4-goal lead with 11 minutes left, the last thing you want to do is make a mistake. So a little more conservative there, and you saw Ben Ruiz just decided, let's settle this down and use a little bit of the clock.
Yeah, Ruiz, a junior captain, and there's a good reason he has that C, the only class of 2023 guy with captain status this year for the Cavaliers. As that pass knocked down in the middle of the defense, big ground ball here as Banks got his stick on it, and now it's picked up by Bedogny. That's Aiden Bedogny.
Banks did a really good job having his stick in the skip lane. So important, especially on a zone defense.
Aiden and his twin brother Jackson both play key starting roles on this Western Reserve team. Aiden headed to Ohio State. Jackson still uncommitted. Up to Jordan Ido now. Still a 9-5 game. Ido tries to wind up. Instead, he passed it behind the goal. Now a feed in front. A beautiful one. They went for behind the back. And again, it's Ross there to back it up.
Believe they're going to get him for a slash up around the helmet area. Went behind the back there. I thought he could have just finished it quick stick with the right hand.
Yeah, Favero went for that. Went for the highlight reel. Ryan Favreau, the senior attacker, headed to Colgate. Also the captain of the hockey team at Western Reserve. We've seen a couple of teams come here the last 3 games or so who have schools that are also known for big-time hockey teams. Everest Academy, especially on Tuesday, they produce NHL draft pick after draft pick from their hockey program, and Western Reserve, no slouch either. That was a lot of time to wind up, and Eldred just, well, he didn't have the space he thought. Eiley and Ross got in the way to knock that shot down, and now a ground ball over by the sideline is picked up by Eldred. It's going to come the other way, maybe with numbers. And a big hit there. And they're going to call it and give it back to the Pioneers.
Called a loose ball hold there. It's going to stay with Western Reserve. Still man up for 18 seconds here. They're in a 2-3-1 right now.
Just a couple seconds away from even strength as Favreau hits the post, and a dive for the possession there.
Great hustle by Brendan Watson. You know, he's not a captain, but I can guarantee you one thing. He is a vocal leader on this team. And you saw it right there with his effort, dive into the end line, securing possession.
Team's back to even strength now. Still a 9-5 game, under 9 to play. And that'll go as an easy one towards the open goal for Mikey Weissauer. Give him 4 on the day, and basically an empty netter right there.
In that 10-man ride, there's 2 landmarks you want to defend. You want to defend the midline, and you want to defend the opposite restraining line. And right there, I didn't think they did a good enough job defending the midline. They were able to complete 2 very easy passes and get a shot.
And I guess on the 10-man ride, really the other thing is when it breaks down, it looks a lot worse than when any other strategy breaks down, because it turns into a goal like that where a talented attacker like Weissauer is just tossing a ball towards an open net.
Exactly. And you know what? I credit Western Reserve with their 10-man. You know, find creative ways to win. Find creative ways to win. Throw wrinkles in there like this zone, their pressure ride, the 10-man ride, just to try to mix up Spalding, get them out of their rhythm.
Could be a turnover here as Favreau picks it up, and there is a flag down. So a 10-5 lead for Spalding, 8:18 to play in this one.
I believe interference was the call. Should be a 30-second foul.
It's against Western Reserve. It will go against Aiden Bedoni. And as you said, 30 seconds, man up for Spalding. Haven't had as many chances today as they had Tuesday. Haven't been as devastating on the man up, but this is a chance to maybe put a dagger in this one. 8 minutes left, you're already up 5. Put this one away right here. Playing behind the goal. Looking for cutters. Instead, Gutierrez with a skip pass. Newell dropped it. Maybe had a chance to shoot if he caught it cleanly. They try to skip it again. Oh, and it deflects in. I guess you give it to Weissauer, his 5th. But that's about as close you'll get to an own goal. A double ricochet and an 11-5 Cavaliers lead.
And that's tough. You know, the skip pass was kind of open here. I thought it was a good look by Mikey looking back pipe, but it was tipped and then tipped again, and that's when you know it's really just not your night.
Off a defender's stick and then off the goalkeeper's back and into the goal. That's the kind of day it's been, as it first hit off of Julian Race. He's a midfielder, number 7 in green, and now Western Reserve, though, answers right back.
What a great ground ball that was on the wing. That ground ball, the fact that he was able to get it cleanly, generated an instant 4-on-3.
Yeah, so that's one way to help yourself forget about the double doink goal as they get it up to Ryan Favreau, and the Colgate commit has his first goal of the day. Back to a 5-goal advantage for Spalding at 11-6. Yeah, it was off Race, the defender, and then off the back of Correa, the goalkeeper, and into the goal. That's how Weissauer got his 5th. So back-to-back 5-goal games for Mikey Weissauer this week. He's now got 22 goals on the season already. This is game 5.
That's unbelievable.
Game 5. He's got 22. I mean, Sean, you start to look down the schedule, and, they haven't even gotten into MIAA play yet. I mean, you're looking at 50 being very much on the table and, potentially climbing from that.
And those numbers, not sure if I've ever came across those numbers, seen this, especially like at the midfield position. He's just so talented, and Towson's got to be jumping for joy for next year.
Yeah, if you look up and you see the Tigers in the top 10 at some point in the 2023 season, don't be surprised. And check on how number 8's doing in the scoring column. Ripley gives it up. Gutierrez. Oh, nice find. And
wow.
How about a hat trick for the freshman? Jack Newell with his 3rd today.
And Jack Newell, as you mentioned, Connor, just a freshman. He's a kid I coach in club for the 2025 Hawks. And look at this quick release. Look at the snap on his stick. He catches this thing loaded and rips it towards the top corner. They need him in attack mode. It just can't be the Mikey Weissauer show. The complementary players need to step up, and you saw it there.
So 3 today for Newell, 5 for Weissauer. Cavaliers doubling up the Pioneers now. Remember, it was 5-3 at halftime. Western Reserve scored the first goal of the second half. It was a 5-4 game early in the third. All Cavs since then. As the Pioneers do win the face-off here. Really, we haven't seen a lot of their top face-off guy in Matt Warburton. He's a sophomore, as is a nice save by McMahon. He really struggled in the loss to Georgetown Prep yesterday, and they've kind of gone to some other bodies today and had a little more success at the dot as the Pioneers.
And here's his 10-man again. Balls with Connor McMahon. 9 to get it over the midline. So let's see if they can defend this midline. They might just take a shot at it. And that's
going
what they're
for
gonna
it.
do, and they have the backup.
Yeah, nicely done. Little high, but probably if you want to miss on that kind of three-quarter field shot, you want to miss high over the goal. And if you've got that positioning behind the goal, it gives you a much better chance to win that race and back it up.
That's absolutely right. You definitely don't want to short arm it, because then it would just dribble into possession for Western Reserve. So good job by Race having the backup there. And this is something Spalding practices a lot. If we see a 10-man, what do we do? And you see it paying off.
So Mikey's got 5. Now on the chase for the double Hattie today. Crossfield pass. D'Ambrosi, now Weissauer. Oh, that took a big chunk of Lee Frazier, the defender. Got it on his back right there, but stopped the shot.
Just 12 to shoot here.
Didn't get a reset on the shot clock. D'Ambrosi gives it up. Weissauer looking for 6. Oh, he hit the pipe. That'll reset the shot clock, though, and Schreier picks up the ground ball off the missed shot. Mikey that close to number 6, and now Brian Phipps going to reset the Spalding offense. They got a 6-goal lead late in this one. 12-6 Spalding, 4 minutes, 45 seconds to go in this one. Connor Newcomb and Sean Cottle with you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Spalding has opened up a nice little cushion here in this second half as the coaching staff looks on, trying to get them to 4-1 on the season before they get MIAA play started next week. It's right around the corner, Sean, here at the end of March. St. Paul's and McDonough on the schedule for the Cavaliers next week.
Very excited for next week. The MIAA is wide open this year. It's certainly going to be a gauntlet.
Yeah, they'll see St. Paul's, a team that had some big wins last year. Then they'll see McDonough, of course, always one of the top competitors in the league. They played a heck of a game here last year between Spalding and McDonough.
And I think something to mention, Connor, is that for the first time in a long, long time, everyone's got Spalding circled on their schedule. So they are now the hunted, not the hunters. So that's going to play a factor this year. They're going to get the best from everybody they play.
Most definitely, as Gutierrez takes into the corner. 7 to shoot now for Spalding. Ripley inside.
What a
catch. My goodness, he didn't score, but they got the reset on the shot clock on that pass. I mean, how in the world? It's not just catching the ball. It's how does Weissauer contort his body to get his stick in some of these places. So they get the reset to 60. And they can just run some more clock here with 3.5 to go. Try to get Weissauer the 6 goals. Oh, what a move. Newell. Oh, diving! And they'll wave it off. No goal. As they say, Nick Gutierrez was in the crease. No goal for Spalding. It remains 12-6. Referee waved it off immediately.
Referee waved off the goal. No goal.
And said no goal. So I'm assuming, Sean, he was in the crease too early.
Yeah, he had to have stepped in the crease because you are allowed to dive, but there is another flag down. Spalding will be man up again.
Yeah, so either way, they'll get it. And back to the box goes Aiden Bedoni, who's been over there a couple of times. And they got D'Angelo in goal once again. So a nice day for Connor McMahon. He checks out, and Ryan D'Angelo in there, just like we saw him for the final few minutes of the win Tuesday against the Everest Academy. Back in there for the final 3 and change today as Weissauer hits the post again. His last 3 shots, 2 have hit the pipe and 1's been saved from a tough angle. Trying for that 6th goal.
You mentioned it, Connor. Connor McMahon had a great game today. Ryan D'Angelo is a great goalie in his own right, so I'm excited to see him get meaningful minutes here.
Gutierrez up top. Oh, nice pass right back to him, and he fires high. Stay on this end with under 3 to play. Weissauer loading up. Now Gutierrez again, and this time, 3rd time's a charm for Nick Gutierrez. He finds the scoreboard.
Seems like they were just playing catch up top, and there was no rotation over. And Gutierrez gets time and room from about 10 yards, and he's not going to miss many of these.
Man-up goal for Spalding, first of the day, 4th of the season for the senior Nick Gutierrez, who's headed to UMBC next year.
Goal scored by number 7, Nick Gutierrez.
He slots it home. And again, we've talked about, so far this season, he hasn't been the number 1, 2, 3, or even 4 scoring option for Spalding, but he still impacts the game in so many ways, and he's going to get his goals like that as well. So it's 13-6 now. It's an 8-2 run for the Cavs after the Western Reserve early goal. They scored first in the second half, made it 5-4, and then it's just been an onslaught by Spalding since then.
And it makes you frustrated a little bit, right? It's like Spalding is fully capable of doing this, for 4 straight quarters. And I believe that we'll get to that moment. But right now, just the inconsistencies need to be ironed out by the time for MIA play. Because as we mentioned, it is a gauntlet.
Again, they got St. Paul's here on Tuesday. McDonough on the road Friday. That's the next 2. What a backhanded goal. Cade Eldred with a highlight reel. Western Reserve's going to come out on the wrong end of this one with only 2 minutes to play, but that was a heck of a score from Cade Eldred, the senior Denver commit. Man.
What a backhanded stroke. He finds a corner here. Nothing that Ryan D'Angelo could have done about that one. Instead of switching hands, he just goes backhanded. I wouldn't be surprised if Kate Eldred had a little bit of a box lacrosse background, because that's something that you see in the box game a lot. And that was just an impressive corner that he found backhand.
Yeah, he was taking a hit from Jamison Kaufman as well as he shot it, and still put it top corner to beat D'Angelo.
Great check by Brenna Dennehy.
Nicely done as Western Reserve answers back 13-7 with 2 minutes to play. But you'll get a St. Paul's team here Tuesday that, while they weren't, around the top of the conference last year, they had a heck of a first-round win in the MIA playoffs last year where they scored at the buzzer. We actually had that game, and that was a heck of a fun one to call last year. As time expired, they scored a game-winning goal. And so they've got some talent coming back. And then you've got McDonough, always uber talented. There's back-to-back scores for the Pioneers. You can chalk one up for the sophomore. Josh Schlackman gets his first of the day, as he's had a lot of shots today, and good for him to get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I always love dodging out of the box, right? You're going downhill already. The slide's got to come a little bit earlier than that and slide with ball pressure, right? Got to do a better job jamming them further down the alley and slide a little bit earlier.
So kind of finishing up on MIAA conversation, I mean, they'll go to McDonough. That'll be the big one next week, next Friday. And, obviously Spalding's lost a little, but they're returning a lot of their talent. Of course, McDonough, without one of their guys they graduated was their two-way star, Dante Trader, who committed to play football and lacrosse at the University of Maryland. And he was a heck of a midfielder last year. Not really a volume goal scorer, but just was physical and fast and felt like the best athlete on the field every time I watched him last year. But
McDonough should be good. Calvert Hall should be good. St. Mary's is really good right now. And there's a lot of good schools in the MIA. It's so deep. Loyola Blakefield, can't forget about them. The MIA is so deep, and you have to have the legs to run this gauntlet. And Spalding's very capable of it, but it certainly won't be an easy ride.
Sure, we'll get arguments from people even in the area, but I'll call it the best high school lacrosse conference in the country. Why not?
I'll go on record with you, Connor.
WCAC might be mad at that one, but here's kind of the second line in at the end of this one is a shot fired wide. Aiden Hamill is in the game there, the junior Mary Washington commit. Misses on that one, and we've got a flag down here in the final just over 30 seconds in this one.
And I love these moments right now, getting, the second line attack, second line midfield in, because, this is the future of Spalding lacrosse. Alec Howard, number 17 down there, Tyler Stewart, number 6, Mason Klessinger, Ben Duffy. These are guys that we're going to see on the field next year, so it's cool to see them now.
And you never know, one of these guys may have to step up at some point, even this year. So we'll see who can get on the scoreboard. That shot fired wide, and maybe a little bit of a frustration hit there from Ty Banks. Really the star of this Western Reserve team there, the junior Georgetown commit, a British Columbia native. Speaking of box lacrosse guys, Coach Sheridan was saying he comes from that background up in Canada. And he takes a penalty, and, well, these young guys will get a two-man-up chance with 16 seconds left to try and put in one more goal before this one ends. And that one fired wide, still 10 seconds. As Duffy will go get it. And with 10 seconds, they may just back it out, Sean, and that's what they're going to do, and they're going to finish off a victory here. Another big non-conference win for Spalding as they take down Western Reserve by a score of 13-8. And Sean, the star of the day, there he is right there. 5 more goals for Mikey Weissauer. He has been just absolutely ridiculous this season, and he showed off once again today.
Yeah, how do you stop him? You throw a pole at him. He can dodge a pole. He can move off ball. He shoots left and right. If you give him any time and space, it's going on net hard. He really is the complete player and a leader here for Spalding, and play great again.
Yeah, he had 5 goals to lead the way, just like he did on Tuesday. Jack Newell, the freshman, had 3 goals as well. Spalding, after, Western Reserve really hung with him in the first half, dominated in the second half to get to this victory. Western Reserve lost 2 in a row, now 5-2. They go to Calvert Hall tomorrow. Spalding now 4-1 on the season. They'll host St. Paul's back here on Tuesday. But for our entire crew here at Spalding, Paul Garza, my partner Sean Cottle, I'm Connor Newcomb signing off one more time. Archbishop Spalding with another non-conference victory as they take down Western Reserve by a final score of 13-8. We thank you so much for watching and hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.